Hey, how's it going? This right here is Politics with Laura, and there is a lot going on, a whole lot. I like that instrumental. Oh my goodness, it is going down. There is so much going on in the world, and let's go on over to Africa. Now, I did a video yesterday on Niger, and also I did something on Instagram that people just started just. It was a I got all types of things like, hey, no, France, the scapegoat, and then just a bit back and forth. But I'm still learning how to use Instagram. That right there is an interesting thing. I can't seem to put it on my computer where I can do more with it. But I digress. Now, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Okay. It seems like all of this started from the coup d'etat that happened in Niger. Now, the president, the former president, oh, I cannot get that man's name right to save anyone's life. If you wanted me to save your life by pronouncing this man's name, sorry, sorry, but there was it's called junta. Junta was tired of, and this is simply me saying this. Junta was tired of what was going on in Niger. Now, this has been going on for a long time, and that was Niger has a lot of natural resources, and they send the natural resources out to France or whatever country, and then France would refine it, but they would sell it to them. So they get free money. And that has been going on for a long time. And Niger barely has electricity for its people. And when you look at it, if you're looking at it from the outside in, you would say, that's not really cool. Now, if you are in one of the two countries, if you are in, let's say, France, you're like, well, that's a cool deal. Of course. And if you're from Niger, you're like, well, that's not really cool, but I don't say anything. And a lot of people act like that. Really, really act like that. And I find, okay, I'm not gonna go there, but that's what happens. However, this guy right here, I'm gonna come to his name because his name is hard for me to pronounce, and I got to look at it. But I'm gonna share my screen soon. Stick with me because this is going to be a really eye-opening uh, show today. It's going to be very eye-opening. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I'm going to use all resources outside of the United States and outside of France and Niger. Yeah, I want to use outside of it, and it's quite interesting, very interesting. So, all right, let me share. Oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. This right here is from Namibia, and I use Namibia a lot. They uh, they have a lot of good news, and okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna go ahead and get to it. Okay, now here they're getting to the root of the problem. Now they explain or what happened or what's behind the Niger coup. Now I can't move this up. Okay, here. Okay, there is a real support behind Russia in Nigeria. Russia in Nigeria. I'm sorry, not Niger. The Russian support of Niger is limited to a so-called Pan-African or an alter globalization circle mainly through social media networks. Occasionally, however, street demonstrations calling for the withdrawal of the French army from Niger are made by civil society or trade unions. And what to do? Okay, this is going to get really deep. But during these Russian flags are regularly waved in M62, the civil society umbrella organization set up in 2022. In one of the leading movements surfacing a wave of anti-French sentiment, along with the brief that Russian military support through the Wagner group can help Niger fight against the terrorism. Now, okay, now I gotta say this. There is a lot going on in Africa when it comes to terrorism. Now, it's normally from what I have seen through reading the newspapers, is that it is Islamic. What do they call it? Radical Islamic extremists, and they're battling what they call these terrorists. I'm not calling them terrorists; they are. I'm just simply saying it. And there's a lot going on there, and they have problems dealing with the terrorism that's going on in Malawi, Nigeria, Zimbabwe. It was all over. So Niger said, "Hey, France, could you please help?" Which I thought was quite interesting. I really did. And I okay, I'm not going to say that, but okay, all right. Okay, good. My connection was a little janky there. I wonder if I'm upsetting someone because my reception's good. Now, okay, where was I? So then France was not delivering the way they should have. And it seemed a little bit more that they were trying to recolonize or retake over. And then Nigeria's like, okay, look, you're not working out. Russia through Wagner. Now, oh man, before you start calling Wagner a terrorist group, I don't think they're a terrorist group. I simply think Wagner and Putin are working hand in hand to make it look like that they're at odds. That's just my opinion. But I find wherever Wagner goes, they're making relationships. So I find it interesting, but I'm going to leave it right there. All right. Okay, back to that. Now, some members of the M16 make no secret of their desire to see Niger forge relationship with the parliament with Wagner. Okay, but the pro-Russian movement can only be found among politicians. The first is known to be the Pan-Africanist idea, and linked with the Russian is okay. I'm getting ready to hurt this guy's name. Forgive me. Abdurrahman. Okay, AO of the Insane African Party. He frequently travels back and forth to Russia to meet with the leading figures. Second, the party president Solhu, who was arrested for changing or charges of colluding with a foreign power and destabilizing Niger, according to the information, but that power is Russia. He also said to have received substantial sums of money to make contracts or contacts in this direction. Another group, Umujwa, um, Umuja Party. Woo, there's some rough names. has the same pro-Russian stance. Now, when we look at Russia, we're like Putin bad, everybody else good. Putin bad. Now, but saying that Putin's bad, and you're looking at what other countries are doing and have been doing for a very long time. They have been, I call, unjust enrichment. They have been getting rich off of other countries and not paying them what they're supposed to pay them. They're just simply say, okay, I'll take your resources and then you got to pay me for doing it. And that's bad business practice to keep people perpetually poor. Okay. Now, all right, this development is a pro-Russian movement in Nigeria is taking place against the backdrop of France's failure to combat the spread of jihadist terrorists in the Sahel. Let me see. Now is the already established Russian presence in the neighboring countries of Mali, perceived in Niger. And Niger is so upset with what's going on with France and with the previous democratically elected people or government was doing that they dropped the French language. No more French. I'm like, wow, okay. Generally speaking, the people in Niger are taking a positive view of Russia's presence in Mali. And they are victims to the propaganda from the Malawian junta, the CNSP, or the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland. And the Wagner Group supposed effectiveness in fighting against terrorism. And I gotta say, they are. Wagner has done a great job doing that. They have gotten rid of a lot of the Islamic extremists. They moved them on out, cleared them out. And they're making headways to where other countries, and I don't know why, I don't know whether if it's because they have a large Muslim populations in their country that it would be bad for them politically, and then they could lose their seat, lose their office seat position, and then put someone else who would be more friendly to Islamic interests than, and that's what I'm thinking. That's just my thought. I don't know how true it is, but it's just what I'm thinking because I find us all this very interesting. All right, so. Okay, don't hesitate to extol the virtues of the Wagner relationship with the Malawian army and tend to reject the regular accusation of mass crime made against the Wagner in Malawi. The atrocities in Amora, when 500 people were massacred by Russian-led soldiers, and the Malawian president saying the victims were terrorists, despite the UN saying that they're mostly civilians, is an example of many Nigerians embracing the pro-Wagner propaganda. Now here, okay, let's keep this in mind. Okay, Nigeria, and is most definitely pro-UN or pro-NATO, pro-UN. However, Niger is not. So whatever the UN says, Nigeria is going to say, okay, I believe that. Despite, okay. However, Nigeria is like, this is going on in my country, and I'm trying to keep my people right. I'm fighting on so many different fronts. And They are. All right. All right. Okay. Embracing the pro Wagner propaganda. All right. So, okay. Okay. Here's a coup. Many of the people focusing on how the coup connects to the rest of the Sahel. Um, should we be seeing something distinctive in what is happening in Niger? Okay. Um, this was just a few tops brass who saw retirement looming and where they're trying to pull a fast one on the democratically elected regime in order to extend their tenure in the army. The uh, the appeal to the Russian has made the counter the international community disapproval of the coup, which okay, I get. People are upset, but listen, this explanation of the CSPN junta's trip to Bamako in Malawi had, which was intended to facilitate a contract with Wagner. The aim is to ensure that the junta's own security as a case of Central African Republic and Mali. For junta, it was a quest of finding substitute forces in the face of a foreign force's refusal to work with them. And Wagner has a bad reputation as far as what's going on in the ukulele country. However, Russian Waters is doing other work in other countries where they're like, well, hey, Wagner, thank you. I appreciate that. We had other European countries helping us, but we did not get this type of help. However, the Russian Waters has never colonized the African continent at all. So, due to that, they're going to have a different outlook. However, other Europe, other European countries have, and right now Uganda just turned Spanish. Everything's in Spanish now, so I find that quite interesting. Okay, the Wagner. Let's see. Okay, the Wagner or Russian Waters has probably asked for guarantees, which explains the announcement by the Nigerian junta ending defense agreements that has linked Niger to France for decades. Just like I said, how well does France understand Niger and its people and how strong the ties are? Now, as you can see, the French Niger socio-economic, I'm sorry, Niger's sociology better than most Western countries. That's due to the concept of Niger and the French colony. Until the 1960s, and the age-old cultural linguistic ties connect to the two countries, the anti-French feeling did not take hold as it did to Burkina Fiasco and Faso and Mali. The people are worried about the future, which is the greater fear of U.S.-backed ESCWAS was an economic community of West African states. Very interesting. The military intervention or the Wagner Group, um, Russian waters. Oh, I was waiting for the U.S. to pop up there somewhere. Wherever there's something going on, the U.S. has something to do with it, big or small. And I'm wondering what the president of the U.S., Joe Biden, what is. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. People are people are worried about the future, and the situation is already un, untenable with rising prices, basic necessities, coupled with the disruption of electricity supply, which Nigeria used to supply Niger, which I think is dirty. Oh my goodness, that is awful. Look, Nigeria, you cut them off. Oh wow, That right there is beyond awful. But you got to be careful how you treat your neighbor because it always comes back to you. Always. You might be good with it. You might be good in the UN now. You might have ties with NATO and sending your people to different places within the NATO connection. Let's see how that turns. You got to be careful how you treat people. Oh my goodness, you're going to learn today. As for the Western Russian military, Western or the Russian borders military intervention, Nigerians' main concern is that terrorism be eradicated from the country and security be restored to the area that have been displaced of population due to the terrorism threat. Generally speaking, generally speaking, people are rather skeptical about the Western intervention in the Sahel. People consider it ineffective. And I gotta say, the Russian Waters Wagner Group has been very effective. And I think that that France been in Niger for a long time and nothing. I simply think that they did nothing while getting a lot of benefit and making themselves rich while keeping Niger economically stagnant, in which it has been, to where they have their own resources to where they can do their own stuff, but that's prohibited. Shameful, shameful, shameful. That's just my 2 cents on it. Okay. Okay, here. Okay, admiration for Putin. He's also seen as a strong man who fights against most Nigerians, seen as the negative value of the West's attitude to homosexuality and rejects the religion and aligned Islamophobia. And it's the same feeling among a good part of the um, Esqua's population. The West is seen as a decadent, while the Russian Waters is seen as the last defender of the moral values dear to Africa, such as marriage between man and woman with and respect for religion. Yeah, and that's what Russia. That that went down. Oh wow. Okay, I got to keep a better eye on it. And there has been a major push for that, for homosexuality and the dismantlement of religion. And Putin is most definitely a strong proponent of religion and of families, keeping families together. And what is the name of it? The economic. Oh my goodness! I just saw it. Okay, well, the West or the U.S. doesn't see that. They're like, okay, if you want money from the United States, you're going to have to change your culture to fit our culture, and that we want homosexuality, the LGBTQ in you're going to have to accept it in your culture. And if you don't, we're not going to give you money. And that right there, you don't do that. The U.S. has been pushing that, but I tell you where they haven't pushed it at. They don't go over in Iran and say you're going to have to change your culture to the LGBTQ because they have the worst laws against homosexuality. But the United States doesn't push that there. The United States doesn't push it in Syria. The United States doesn't push it in um, um, Lebanon. You don't see it push it. Well, Israel, okay, it's already accepted in Israel, so that right there is nothing. But all the other Islamic countries, they don't push it in the Middle East. No. But if you're an African country and you have resources and the US can beat up on you, that's exactly what they'll do. And that's shameful. It's shameful, but that's that's what's going on. But okay, let me go on to something else because there is a lot more. There's a lot more. Okay. Now this is what I want to show. Oh my goodness. Here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just brace yourself. The French threatened to overthrow the Niger attack. Junta suspends. Keep. Okay. I'm sorry, fair use, fair use, fair use. Fair use. Okay. Look at that right there. Paris will not tolerate any attacks on France and its interest in Niger, and it will respond immediately to any violence, Macron stated. It's going to go down. It is going down. Now that's what I want to show. Now here, France Macron wants Bazoum reinstated. However, a group in Niger overthrew him, and the people are backing it because now you have the Wagner group and they're doing something about it. But they want to bring the president up on charges, treason, which I have an article for that. But let me finish this out real quick. Okay,
C'est bon? Donc merci beaucoup. Comme vous le constatez, c'est le peuple nigérien qui est sorti pour manifester son mécontentement contre une politique qui a duré 12 ans. 12 ans, pendant 12 ans de régime, le quotidien des Nigériens n'a pas changé. Par conséquent, les Nigériens ont appelé à
they want the coup in power. They don't want the change. They want the coup that took over power to remain. Niger people, that's exactly what he's saying.
Et de bouter dehors cette politique. Nous sommes également sortis pour dire à ces petits Macron de la France que le Niger nous appartient. C'est à nous de faire ce que nous voulons du Niger, ce que nous voulons, nous traitons avec qui nous voulons et comme nous voulons. Et donc je pense que les choses sont claires. Nous disons à la CEDEAO que le Niger nous appartient. Il n'appartient pas à un individu de la CEDEAO ou à un président de la CEDEAO de venir décider pour le Niger. Et nous réaffirmons notre soutien pour le FDS.
So the Niger, the people are made themselves quite clear. They want the coup to stay. Niger belongs to us. The resources belong to the people of Niger, not to France, not to anyone else but them. And fighting for your, how can I say this? Standing up to people that have been over you for a long time, and all of a sudden you can't take it anymore, and you stand up, you say enough is enough, I'm done. And when Niger stood up for itself, it sent shockwaves through France. And let the truth be told, France is being, and you may not want to hear it, but it's true. France is being held up by its former colonies. It is. It just simply is what it is. Now the former colonies are like, okay, this is too much. We could run our own lives. You run France's, and we'll run ours. And what belongs to us, you can buy. You get no more free stuff. You're going to have to pay. But there's a lot. There's so much going on. There's something else I wanted to show you. Yeah, okay. You want to see Nigerians, Nigerian side of it. They man, oh man, oh man. Okay, this right here is from Nigeria. Now, the African Union is quite interesting to me. It's quite interesting because the African Union is led by Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a mixed bag, most definitely when it comes to European countries. Now, the U.S. They have given Ethiopia the red carpet while bombing them and trying to. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. But all right. Here, the African Union on Monday held talks on the Niger crisis, and the country's post-coup ruler sounded defiant, yet has pointed to a diplomacy for potential solution. But the talks of the African Union headquarters in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, coincided with a flare-up over the threat that the regime to prosecute Niger's disposed leader or president. The African Union Peace and Treaty Council meets with several, receives update on the evolution of the situation in Niger and effects in the efforts to address it. And the Pan-African body is a post of an ex-former post on X, formerly known as Twitter. Oh my goodness. But and then it just simply goes on to talk about how Moussa Faki, I'm sorry, I can't get it. The representative from the Niger of the West African bloc, the ECO was, and it said the President Bazoum, whose election in 2021 is a landmark in the country's troubled history, was toppled on July 26th by members of the Presidential Guard. I mean, just that says a lot right there. Your guards, your own guard said, I am tired of you. I'm tired of this, what's going on. And there are some people, I know people from all around the world, and one thing that I do know about the African countries is a lot of people tell me from the different African countries, and they say that parents here want their children to get into sports, politics, or sports, medicine, whatever it is. They push them to that. But in Africa, they push their children to become politicians because that's how you get rich. Because you do a lot of putting money in your pocket. There's a lot of corruption, so then you expect the corruption to be there. And that's what they say. That's exactly what they say. But the guards in Niger were like, okay, I can't deal with this. We got to do something, and they did. Now, That's going on. All right. Okay. His hosting unleashed a shockwave around the West Africa, where Mali and uh, Burkina Faso likewise battered the jihadist insurgency has suffered military takeovers. Wow. Seeking to stop the cascade of economic community of West African states. In other words, the United States has taken over them. Slapped sanctions on Niger last week, approving deployment of the standby forces to restore the constitutional order. Really, U.S.? You want to talk about some constitution? Really? That's rich. You need to foster that here in the United States before you start trying to foster it someplace else. Practice what you preach. That would be a good thing. I digress. But the uncertainties hang over any intervention. From the operational feasibility to internal division within the ECOWAS, and the block of the also says it wants a peaceful outcome, which I believe everyone does. Everyone does want a peaceful outcome. But on July 30th, the issue, the 7-day ultimatum to restore the Bazoum or his face to the or face the potential use of force by the deadline expires without action. Defiance and diplomacy. The mixed signals. I mean, it just goes on and on. But there was something that what was this article? Yeah, Bazoum, 63, and his family has been held at the presidential official residence since the coup, and the international concern mourning over the conditions in detention. On Monday, the military-appointed Prime Minister Mohamed Layman Zein, a civilian, declared Niger the thwart of the ECOWAS sanction threat. So they're going to take a country already in turmoil, already having issues, already broke, has no electricity, and then when it does, it gets cut off certain times of the day. It's hot as all outdoors out there, and then you want to throw sanctions on them while all the resources are going to France and other countries that they don't get paid for. But you want to throw sanctions on them. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. You can't. Zayn also distressed the importance of Niger's ties to the neighboring Nigeria, as well as the West African bloc. We have a great interest in preserving the importance of historical relationships, and also with the ECOWAS, work on pure economical issues first, said. Really? Really? You work on, wait a minute, wait, no, really? You work on economical stuff first? Let me help you out here. You African nations give all of your natural resources away. Nigeria, you're oil rich. You have Exxon over there. You have all other big American companies, and also companies from Europe over there taking the oil that you don't even refine it yourself, and that is your natural resources. And you want to talk some smack about economic? Please, you are, man, you're corrupt as the day is long. Your people are hurting. They don't have full-time electricity. They need a lot of things, but you are so corrupt that you don't even use the hospitals in your country. Nigeria, you're always going to France or England to go get your yearly checkup, but then your people can't have the same benefits. But then you want to talk about how you're doing things for economically for your country? Really? Really? Or is it just you're helping the economics in your own wallet? I try not to get upset over this foolishness. This is foolishness to the umpteenth power. And for them to even talk about that and not even address the fact that you have these European countries over you doing this and taking your resources. Niger, stand up. Stand up. That's right, stand up. Woo, Nigeria, you lost your spine. Oh my God. Okay, the landlocked nations in the heart of the arid Sahel, Niger is one of the world's poorest and most turbulent countries. Look at that. Poorest. And you want to throw more sanctions on them. It's not the fact that you're taking their resources, but they're the poorest country. Oh my God. Oh man. Okay. Bazoum's election in 2021 marked the first time the country has experienced a peaceful transition of power since gaining the independence from France in 1960. Yeah, because they want to keep on taking the money, and the people don't benefit, only the leaders. The leaders benefit from the power, or not even the power, the perceived power. The real power is over there in Europe. That's where the real power is. The real power is in France. That's where the real power is. Oh my goodness. He survived 2 attempt coups before being ousted in the 5th putsch in the country's history. The international community has rallied behind Bazoum and demanded his reinstatement. I get it. His oust deals with a huge blow to the French and U.S. strategy in the Sahel. How we didn't see that one coming? Oh no! Between the U.S. and French strategy, we didn't see that. France refocused its anti-jihadist operations in Niger after withdrawing from Mali and Burkina Faso last year following a bust up with the juntas. It's not going well for you. It's not going well for you. But in the it has around 1,500 troops in Niger. Many of them are at the air base in the Niamey, while the Pentagon has around 1,000 military personnel. Very interesting. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. So there is a lot going on there. A lot. But let me see. There's something else I wanted to look at. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Okay, where are you? There's something that I saw. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. Okay. But there's a lot going on, and there's a lot behind this whole situation going on in Niger. So it's a lot deeper. And Niger is just tired. You have people that are just tired of seeing the corruption of what's going on. You have people, the common everyday, not I want to say Nigerians, but the people of Niger have an idea of what's going on, but feel that they can't do anything about it. But you had someone who did. Whether you like it or not, it happened. And I see the Wagner Group, and this is simply my opinion, making headwaves in these African countries, forging relationships, shaking hands, as they are simply doing the work that they're asked to do and not take over the country. No, you want us to get rid of Islamic extremists. We do that, and they have done that. And they're looking at Russian waters in a different light based on what other European countries say. Oh, they're evil. They're evil. Them over there, they're evil. That's what's being stated. But on that note, what do you think? Please, if you want to support me, please go to my other channel, Big Girl Diary. You can support me there, or you can cash at me, Big Girl Diary, $ Big Girl Diary, or PayPal me at Big Girl Diary. On that note, I want to thank you for stopping by, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I do appreciate it. Bye.